Welcome to Absolutely PlayStation and Steam Gamers. Today, Coda and I are going to have a discussion about the new crackdown on cheating that's happening in Call of Duty Warzone. Cheating complaints are ramping up, and Raven issues their first anti-cheat update in over 2 months. Basically, from what I read here, it looks like a big streamer for Call of Duty Warzone, Z-Laner, basically put out a tweet stating that he's starting essentially to get sick and tired of having to prove that he isn't a cheater.
Mm-hmm.
And that the onus shouldn't fall on him or anybody who does have skill
Right.
to prove that they're not a cheater whenever they start doing well in their streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be completely honest, I mean, that's a fair complaint for him to have.
Right.
He does stream video games for a living, so I think there are worse things that he could be having to deal with. But that being said, I don't want to sound like I'm defending cheaters or lack of action on Raven Studios' part.
Feeling like work? Streaming and running into a cheater, or working at like fast food and you get that burn on your hand and you have to hold it near a stove. You ever work fast food? No?
I did not, and I'm going to go with the burn. The burn, 100%. Physical pain versus a slight mild annoyance. Repetitive annoyance, but
Yeah.
physical harm, dude. Come on.
Cheaters have been a problem in Warzone for a long time, and it's interesting because they're actually cracking down pretty hard on cheat. They always have been. There's been stuff like they put cheaters in their own lobby to where like it was cheaters versus cheaters, and they just play by themselves. To like 3 different versions of their anti-cheat. Like they had 2 running at the same time, and then they swapped out one for another at one point. And yet still more and more cheaters come flooding in.
Well, I think the issue, this game's free to play, is it not?
Warzone is, yeah.
And there lies your issue, because even if you do get caught cheating, you have a VPN, you can just get the game again.
Right.
Start cheating again and cause just as much grief as somebody who's been playing the game on the same account for months or years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's become more of an issue since we've started seeing all these free-to-play games.
Right.
Fortnite has a lot of issues with this. The game, which should not be named, also has a lot of issues with this, but it's because they're free-to-play games. It incentivizes people who want to sell cheats to make cheats for those games because they know they'll be able to get them into the game at a low cost.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned Fortnite, and yet Fortnite has its issues with cheaters too, but it seems like it's less talked about than other competitive shooters. I wonder if it's because of population size.
It's probably a combination of population size and the huge wallet that Epic Games has to continue keeping their anti-cheat software as up to date as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite's in the lead. When you're in the lead, you cannot afford to be seen as being inactive on something as bad as cheating.
Right.
Because if that's the case, then all of a sudden nobody cares that the Joker is in your item shop, or Batman, or the Flash, or Loki.
You probably couldn't even get those deals to put those characters in your shop if everyone's complaining about your game.
I think the money talks, but I think the issue is that the money will stop talking if Fortnite doesn't stay on top of cracking down. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm in slightly an abusive relationship, but seeing that it's only been 2 months since the cheat update, kind of like, dang, that's actually kind of nice.
Yeah. That constant.
That constant? Really?
The game that must not be made, we don't hear anything.
Ever. Um, I'm seeing here Raven's last anti-cheat update was issued on May 14th when the developer said it stamped out 30,000 accounts that were in a ban wave, bringing the grand total of banned accounts to over 500,000.
Jeez.
What is the... Do you know what the consecutive or concurrent player count
It
is?
so I haven't played Warzone since a while back, and when I was playing, it was at about 10 million was the active player base. It's no doubt dropped down since then, but 500,000's probably still a decent chunk of players from what
Well,
it is
you
now.
said 10 million was concurrent.
At the time, it was like 8 million to 10 million, something
Okay,
around
so that's people playing at a time. This is 500,000 people over the entire course of the game.
there. Right.
So you also need to take that into account. How many people start, stop.
So it's actually not that big a number.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the reaction. That number should be much higher.
hmm
Um,
So, uh, when I was playing, I ran into cheaters for about 10 games in a row. Uh, this was back early on to when the game had first come out on PC. Uh, and then the last game, before I finally just stopped playing for a while, I was playing with a couple buddies of mine, and one buddy was out ahead of me, and all of a sudden he falls over. And I'm like, okay, there's a sniper somewhere nearby. And then I fall over, and I see the kill cam, and he is on the other side of the map next to a helicopter with an AR sniping people. He gets. Now, the funny thing about the helicopter he's next to, that was a helicopter we had used earlier that match that we had abandoned, and he got in and took it up to the top of the building. I had C4 planted on that helicopter. Game goes on, he like moves it to a different spot, and then he gets out and he notices the C4 is on that helicopter. And I'll see if I can't get Dylan this clip. I'm pretty sure I recorded it. After cheating and killing a bunch of people, he turns around, notices the C4, shoots the C4 while he's 2 feet away from it, blows himself up. It just goes to show the people that are doing this are not good at the game. Like,
I would argue that shooting an explosive in front of you does not indicate whether or not you're good at the game or not. Perhaps he was just like, this will be fun. Boom. Watches his body ragdoll and then gets up and starts cheating again. Like,
right.
but he deserved it.
Well, he didn't ragdoll.
We'll
he died because he blew up.
Oh, I thought you said he was on the top of a building. So,
well, yeah, but he's 2 feet away from a C4 explosion. You don't walk away from that.
okay, I apologize. I wasn't sure what type of game physics we were working with here.
Realistic.
Realistic ARs that snipe you from across the map.
Yeah.
I guess the question is like, what are you really supposed to do about cheaters if you're a AAA game? I mean, I know Fortnite has its problems. We're not saying it doesn't, but how is Fortnite able to keep up? Are they just spending that much money, or is it a player size issue?
I think it's a player size, but I also think that more companies need to do what Bungie did for the game that should not be mentioned. They sued the developers of the cheat engines. If enough companies crack down on the people making the cheats, people get less access to those cheats. But these
Right.
cheats stay up on the internet for so long, and nothing goes away on the internet. Somebody will just re-upload it somewhere else. But they got to be a little bit more proactive at going after the people making the cheats.
Yeah, if there's some type of legal liability for these cheaters, then maybe that will disincentivize people enough to quit making them.
hmm
I mean, there's always going to be some who see the profit opportunity and they're going to jump on it regardless.
Yeah.
But for the people who are only like, oh, well, I'll just make a few extra bucks, maybe they're like, well, getting brought to court by a major corporation probably isn't on the top of my to-do list. So I'll go mod for Skyrim or like do something productive with my life. I just said modding for Skyrim was something productive to do with my life.
Hey, I did that before. I made a Yeti follower with a British accent. It was great.
Oh, and I think we will call it right there at the story of the Yeti following Coda around in Skyrim. I'm Shank. This is Coda. This has been absolutely PlayStation and Steam Gamers. See you guys.